Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 2016 MLS Cup Preview Press Conference. Thank you to all of our journalists here in the room, and thank you to those fans watching at home on MLSsoccer.com. We have a few housekeeping items. If I could ask all the journalists to turn your cell phones to silent. And also, as this is a stream, we'd like to make sure that you're asking the questions into the microphone. We have microphones on either side of the room. Please wait until we designate you as the question asker and speak directly into the microphone with your name and affiliate first. I'd like to welcome our participants from Toronto FC, head coach Greg Vanney. Thank you so much for being here. Josie Altidore and Michael Bradley. To kick it off, I'd like to ask head coach Greg Vanney. Clearly, last week's game was an incredible atmosphere at BMO. What are you expecting to see on Saturday night as you guys face Seattle Sounders FC?
Yeah, I'll start back when I think when each of these guys and myself signed on to this project here at TFC, we were promised and told that when we turned the franchise around, or when we were able to turn the franchise around, that we would be amazed at the following and the crowd and the support that we would get. And we saw that the other night. And we expect that it will be every bit as amazing as it was in the last game against Montreal, and then some, because this is what all the fans in Toronto have been looking forward to for many, many years, and have endured through those years, and they're ready to, I think, explode and get behind our group and help push us over the finish line on Saturday night.
Thank you so much. We'd like to open it up to questions from our journalists. If you have a question, please raise your hand and we will get you the microphone. Just here, over on the right.
Andrew Harvey, Sports Press Northwest. Michael, obviously weather conditions, both teams have to play in them the same way, but how does cold weather affect the way that soccer is played?
I don't think the weather will affect anything tomorrow night. Every forecast you look at says it should be somewhere right around freezing, just under, just below. I've played different games in my career, times in Germany, and in the winter, and in different cities where it's very, very, very cold. And on those days, yeah, it can be hard to play. I don't think tomorrow night the weather will come into it at all. I think actually it's going to be an amazing night to play. I think the atmosphere will be unbelievable. I think our field after 10 days or so will have come back in a really good way. Again, you get to this point, and the last thing anybody's worried about is what the temperature is. It's about two teams who have played all year to get to this point and are gonna go after the game in a big way.
Thank you so much. In the back here with Ramses.
Josie, Ramses Sandoval, Univisión Deportes. Ya con el partido acercándose, ¿qué les dice el profe y cómo se están preparando ustedes ya que la final está más cerca, ya es el sábado?
No hacemos nada diferente, la verdad. Que hacemos el entrenamiento como siempre, intentamos estar preparados por el partido y todo el mundo está muy calmado y estamos entrenando con mucho éxito y como me dijeron, todo el mundo está listo por el partido, felices, y espero que sábado fue un día muy lindo por nuestra afición y nuestro club.
Thank you. Down here in front.
Hi guys, I'm just wondering, with playing for a championship like this, I'm wondering what the mood is like in the locker room, and if managing distractions or emotion is something that you factor in at this time of year.
Our message right from the beginning of the week is that we focus on the game, that there are a lot of people here that are here for the event, but as a group we need to be here and concentrate on the game. Obviously there's many more press folks in town, and our press guys, Mike Mazzaro, Jeff Bradley, they've all done a great job of minimizing that impact, getting guys good schedules. But in the grand scheme of things, this group is very focused on the task at hand, which is the match, and we've taken all the proper, I think, protocols that we need to help insulate them as best we can and allow them just to be themselves. The locker room mentality has been great. It's been focused but light at the right times. the guys just went out and played a bit today, and it was loose, but it's with the right concentration and mentality and preparation for Saturday night.
Thank you.
Just behind.
Ryan Krasner, Seattle Sounders FC. This question is for Josie. You're a very imposing center forward. What do you make of the matchup between Seattle's two large center backs in Ramon Torres and Chad Marshall?
It's going to be a good one. Two good players, two good defenders in our league, and Chad has a lot of experience, and also Ramon with the national team. So it'll be some good battles, I'm sure. But collectively, it's all about how we approach the day as a team, and hopefully, it's one to remember.
We'll go down here in front. If you could just wait for the microphone.
Question for Josie. I noticed in all your interviews, you don't like talking about yourself. You always seem to talk about the team. And I was wondering how you came to that approach as a player. Was it over a number of years, or have you always been that focused?
I don't know. I guess it's, I don't know. You'd have to go back to all the interviews. I don't know. I can't tell you.
But I mean, have you always been a team first player, even from as a very young player?
I just feel like what you can accomplish as a group is far greater than what you can accomplish by yourself. So as we look to a game like Saturday, I mean, individual performances don't really mean anything if we collectively don't put it together as a team. So that's the goal.
And do you feel like what's happened to you over the second half of this season, where you've come to be considered one of the best players in the league, that considering what's happened to you in the years previous, all your different travels, that, gee, I kind of deserve this? You ever find yourself saying that?
To be completely honest with you, I mean, I get to live my life as a professional soccer player. I get to live my dream. So, I mean, there's going to be ups and downs, but I'm sorry I don't look at it the same way as a lot of people, but it's a blessing to even be here today, to go out in the field and train, to be amongst these guys, and that's just the way I look at it.
Thank you. Next question to John in front.
Greg, sorry. Whenever anyone kind of brings up, and I don't want to hash the past, but whenever anyone brings up the bloody big deal, the focus is on Jermaine. Somewhat lost in all that is that Michael also came, and that's worked out quite well. Can you talk about how Michael coming here sort of helped change, not only change the culture of the team, but maybe change the sort of future and the direction of the team?
Sure. I think I don't want to speak for Michael on some of this, but I think what Michael was attracted to is the same thing that I became attracted to, which is the project of Toronto FC and trying to revitalize the soccer city that it is, to help to turn this club around to be, a bigger part of something that could be amazing. And Michael signing on to that project, and you could see it from day one in blood, sweat, and tears and everything in between, that he was passionate and dedicated to the team and the project, and to get this thing to a position of where we are now to try to win a championship, and ultimately where we hope to be by the end of Saturday night. And every ounce of energy that Michael has, sometimes maybe too much because it's his passion, right? Goes into every thought. It's the same way I am. Every thought goes into how do we win a championship at this club, and it's hard to switch off. And I'm speaking for Michael, but I would say it's probably hard for him to switch off too sometimes when he goes home, because it's everything you think about and everything that you do to try to help to get to lift a trophy. And we've seen we were told it would be amazing. We've seen the fans really come out and support us, and in a big way, better than I've seen in many, many places, and I've been around a lot, and so that's what we signed on for, and Michael's given every ounce of energy along the way to help us get to this point, and I'm sure he's going to give every ounce of energy on Saturday to get us across the finish line as well.
We'll come down here in front, followed by Gareth in the back.
This question's for Greg. Two midfielders in this game, Osvaldo Alonso, Will Johnson, two of the better midfielders in the league. What has Will brought to the team? He obviously a two-time champion. This is his third cup, third different team. What has he brought to the team, and how important is it to kind of deal with Ozzy Alonso and what he brings to a game?
Yeah, I mean, Will's a winner. He's a competitor. He's a winner. He's obviously a very good soccer player, which we all see. But it's the intangibles of competition, fight, laying it all out there in every play that he adds to our group. And Alonso's similar. He's a competitor. He's obviously a guy who's made a living out of protecting the back line, winning balls, trying to play simple, quick, and keep the game moving, but disrupt and break up plays. And so I think the overall battle in midfield, it's not a one-on-one game, but the overall battle in midfield is going to be important on the night. They have other players who like to pop in and out of midfield and have their impact on the game as well, as do we. So I think the central midfield will be a focal point in the match, and making sure that the team that dominates that will have the majority of the opportunity to win the game, I think. And so it'll be an important factor in the match.
In the back.
Ryan Dixon, Sportsnet.ca. Question for Michael Bradley. As someone who has seen Jordan Morris up close with the national team, just wondering what specifically stands out about his game that makes him such a dangerous player, and one that in the future could really become a really, really good player.
Jordan has a pretty unique package in terms of what he can do on the field. He's fast. He can run with the ball. He's not afraid. When the ball's on his right foot, he has a good idea of different ways that he can score. And I think that in some ways the things that I like most about Jordan are the things that maybe you guys don't even realize. Here's a kid who came into the league under an incredible amount of pressure from the beginning. It was built up to be something in some ways bigger than it needed to be for a young player who was just coming out of college. But he took everything in stride. In moments when people were ready to come down hard on him for missing too many chances or for letting a few things get away from him, he didn't let it bother him one bit. And he has gotten better and better as the years gone on, and you don't see that in many young players. Josie and I have gotten to know him very well now over the last few years in the national team. His mentality is different. He's a young kid who competes, who wants to learn, who isn't a big talker. He comes around and is ready to listen and to soak things up. He's not afraid to talk when you have a conversation with him. But again, he is somebody who comes into a group and is ready to watch and learn and listen. And so I think in a lot of ways he has shown everybody what a unique guy he is this year.
Thank you. Let's go down here in front with Mike Lewis.
Yes, Michael Lewis, BigAppleSoccer.com and Newsday. Josie, you've been kicking around as a pro for 10 years. What sort of advice would you give to 16-year-old Josie Altidore?
I don't know. It's a great question. I guess to enjoy it more. I think I've always enjoyed it, obviously, but obviously when you're young sometimes and a lot of things get put your way, you forget that it's a game and that you're having fun. And so as a young player, being involved with the national team and playing overseas, sometimes it too quickly became a job in the sense that I didn't know how to balance the two. So that's probably what I would say to a young guy.
Just next to him.
Steve Simmons, Toronto Sun, for Greg and for Michael. About 18 years ago, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment was born. This is the first championship that any of its teams will play for. How do you feel like you're carrying the torch for the company right now?
I haven't put a lot of thought in. We were told that after the last match, and to be honest, I was proud. I was proud of our group, and I was proud that we could be the first franchise to do so. I think we have a lot of people, including our families and ourselves and our fans and everyone else, including our company, that we want to get this over the finish line and win this game for. It would be nice, another nice thing to be able to say we were the first MLSE franchise to raise the trophy. So, sure, I think that would be great. But I think there's a lot of things that ultimately we're playing for, one play at a time for 90 minutes, and we'll talk about the outcomes after, I suppose. Can do that too.
The sports landscape in Toronto is unlike anything I've ever seen. I've talked a lot about it over the past few weeks. It's an unbelievable sports city, and there are a lot of things that go into that. Certainly, something as simple as the fact that the Maple Leafs, the Raptors, and TFC are all under the same umbrella. It goes into that because there's a real, yes, we're TFC, and yes, the Maple Leafs have their games and the Raptors have theirs, but there's a real sense of us. There's a real sense of pride that we represent not just ourselves but the city, and we represent not just Toronto Football Club but Toronto sports. Together we come together to again represent something much bigger. And obviously we're incredibly lucky. We have a huge Toronto FC following, but when you get to this point in the season, there's a huge Toronto sports following, and that carries over from the other sports. And so I think we're all very very proud to be a part of that. I think I mentioned to somebody earlier this week. I've been here three years. I've become a big Raptors fan. I've become a big Leafs fan. I'm certainly. I don't want to make it out to be like Kyle Lowry and I are best friends in any way, but the handful of times that I've seen him over the past few years, there's a real a mutual respect and a real feeling like, you know what, I love watching him compete every night. When I get home and after I put my kids to bed and I'm having dinner with my wife, I enjoy turning the TV on and watching the Raptors because I enjoy what these guys are all about. And you get the feeling that they have that same feeling towards us. And I think the what it means to represent Toronto, to represent this city, that has been driven home time and time and time again. And if we can make Saturday the most special night yet, then I think everybody is going to be amazed by what we see.
Go here at Paul in the back. Wait for the microphone if you could behind you.
Paul Tenorio from 442. Greg, we've seen the narrative change around Josie's season as the goals have come, as it would for any forward. But you guys have talked often about the things that Josie does besides just scoring goals. Do you think that the way that we judge forwards has changed or should change within the soccer world to go beyond just that last part of it, the scoring of the goals?
Yeah, I mean, I think goals are easy because it's the most obvious thing in a game to take. When you see forwards score goals, guys can play terrible for 89 minutes and score a goal, and everybody will rate him as a 7. He was fantastic over the course of the game, but it's a team game, and I think just as Josie earlier in this conversation puts the team first when he talks about anything, he does the same thing when he plays the game, and he'll do anything and everything that you ask him to do, and then some, or what he sees in the game needs to get done, he'll do it. And that for me accounts for a whole lot, sometimes more than putting the ball in the back of the net. And at the beginning of the year, we were grinding out games on the road, and Josie didn't get a goal, but we were winning games, and we were winning games because of the amount of work he was willing to do for us on the road to compete and to grind things out. And it was the matter of time that like all forwards, that things start to go for you, and for any number of reasons that everybody has talked about, it doesn't matter. But then people start to notice performances. But he's always played great. He's always played hard for this team. He's always done everything that needs to be done on the field. And the reward right now is he's scoring goals and winning games and enjoying himself. Again, I'm speaking for him, but enjoying himself, and everybody wants to talk about that. But this is a guy who's always competed every single day for this team, and that should go noticed regardless of whether the ball hits the back of the net or not.
Down here with Franco. Microphone.
Franco Panizo, SBI Soccer. Questions for you, Greg. Armando, he hasn't played a whole bunch this season, but what have you seen from him in the midfield? What has he shown? And we spoke to him today. He said he wants to be back next year. Given that he's on loan, would you guys like to bring him back for 2017?
Yeah, we added Armando very late in the summer window. He's an experienced competitor. This guy who's played nearly 80 games for Panama. He's played in some very tough environments. He's played in Europe. So his pedigree speaks for itself, but what he adds for us is another guy in midfield who competes physically. He covers a lot of ground. He's not afraid to take the ball under pressure and manage a situation and play himself out of it through passes, sometimes through turning guys. And he's given us just another guy who's confident and a real man in the midfield. And so we've enjoyed him. He's got a great personality. He's got a wonderful smile. I know Josie speaks to him a lot more through Spanish, but he's really adapted himself well to the group and to his move here. And we enjoy him. Our intent is to try to have him here for the long haul. That's why we brought him. We never really bring anybody thinking we're going to use him for a short term. We bring him because we want him to be a part of this and to buy in and really help this team win not just one championship, but as many as we can. So he's been fantastic. It's not usually easy for players who come from outside the league to adapt as quickly as he's been able to and have a nice impact on a group. But both because of his personality, his work rate, and his abilities, he's been able to do so.
We're going to right down here in front. If you could just wait for the microphone, please.
Ryan Tolmich, SBI Soccer. Greg, obviously you make the tactical switch defensively, and it's kind of worked out pretty well for you so far. What have you seen from that group over these last few weeks? How have they grown, and what do you really expect for them going into this specific game?
Yeah, I think we did a couple different things over the course of the year. I think we were comfortable in both the 3-back and the 4-back in terms of 3-5-2 and a diamond. And so I think going into the playoffs, it made sense for us to rotate, to go to the 3-5-2. We've used it through the game so far. It's allowed us at times to be more aggressive when we want to try to press. It's given us, when we sit back, a little bit of an ability to lock things down. The group has, over the course of the year, has sort of evolved and learned. In the two matchups so far against New York City and against Montreal, they're two very different opponents, and so we had to make some adjustments. We had one team who likes to have the ball and tries to play through everything in New York City, and then you play Montreal, who in 2 passes is trying to get in your box and score a goal and dealing with counterattacks. And so we had to make some adjustments over the course of each of those series, and I think it helped us to learn a little bit about ourselves and things that we needed to tighten up on, which we were able to do in the last game. And it gives us a little bit of best of both worlds as we approach a Seattle team who I think is good in possession but also can play on the counter. And so we'll have seen a little bit of both as we prepare ourselves for this important match.
Our final question will come from right down here in front.
Steve Gennaro, Total Football. Coach, as you prepare for the final match, and we know you spend a lot of time going through all the details, is the emphasis more on getting your club ready to play its top game, or is it on shutting down what Seattle does best?
No, we believe it's about us. We spend every week with our image and vision for how we want the game to look like. Within that, there's nuances of dealing with the opposition's whether it's key players or whether they're a transition team or a possession-oriented team, we'll make little adjustments that we think can help the game look like how we want the game to look like, And so, but the emphasis is really on ourselves. We believe that we have the type of group that if we play the way we want to play, and then teams will have to adjust to us. They have to deal with us, and we never lose sight of that. But at the same time, we try to organize ourselves in a way that we understand what the opposition's trying to do. Because there's always a we want it to look like this. They're going to try to make it look like that. How do we make the adjustments necessary to keep the game in the vision of how we want it to look? And that gives us the best chance to win the game. And so, but it's about us, and that's been our approach this week with nuances that we have to manage.
Thank you so much to our guests from TFC. We look forward to watching you play on Saturday night. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And you all through the lunchroom if you don't mind. Thank you so much to our colleagues from Toronto, or to Toronto FC for participating, and welcome to the Seattle Sounders FC. We have with us today head coach Brian Schmetzer, Jordan Morris, and of course Ozzie Alonso. To kick it off, the atmosphere was incredible at BMO Field this past week. You guys are going to be going into a rocking stadium. How do you prepare for a game that you know you're going up against 30-plus thousand fans that are going to be rooting against you?
You're asking me?
I am.
Okay. Well, we obviously watched the game, and as a soccer fan, it was an exciting match. It was great to see two teams going at it in a two-legged series. It was good. The game changes a little bit because it's one game, winner take all. We're used to that type of atmosphere because at home we play north of 40,000 people, so we play in a really good atmosphere ourselves every game day. We've been to some stadiums in our travels in Mexico and for Champions League where the atmosphere in Monterrey and places like that really can be somewhat intimidating. But I have absolute confidence in the team that whatever obstacle is put in their way, they seem to find ways to overcome and compete, and they've found a way to get results.
Thank you so much. Let's open it up to questions. Our first one will go to Diego, just over here on the left.
Ozzie, ¿cómo estás? Varios medios de Toronto, varios periodistas han dicho que Seattle realmente no merecería estar en la final porque les tocó un camino, en cierta manera, más fácil a su rival. ¿Qué le responderías tú? Y también, ¿qué tienen ustedes de diferente para poder salir y ganar el partido el sábado?
Sí, buenas tardes. No, sabemos que a principio de temporada no empezamos muy bien, pues bueno, poco a poco fuimos mejorando y si la gente habla que no merecemos estar aquí, el fútbol no es de merecer. Nosotros poco a poco fuimos trabajando duro y ganando los partidos que nos llevaron a estar aquí en la final y nada, ahora estamos aquí y vamos a darlo todo para ganar la Copa.
Thank you. Our next question will go just down here on the side to Scott.
Hi, Scott French with 442. For Ozzie and for Jordan, what have you seen in Christian Roldan this year, especially as he's evolved? How is he helping this team? How is he helping you guys? And Jordan, could you talk a little bit about your friendship with Christian?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously been great on the field. He was given an opportunity, and he credit to him, he went out and took it. And you see it, every weekend. He's one of the harder working guys on the team, and he's a very team-oriented guy. So he'll do whatever it takes for the team to win. And no, he's been doing great. So, and he's only going to get better. And then, yeah, as a friendship, I mean, I knew him because we played against each other in college, so I kind of knew him then. and just coming in on the first day, I was already kind of comfortable with him. So things just went from there, and kind of a bromance developed. And no, but he's been great through the tough times. We can talk to each other and go over things, and it's been great to have a guy like that on the team.
Thank you. We're going to go just here in the middle.
Yeah, for me it's been great. Christian has been my partner in the middle of the field for most of the season, so I'm very, very happy to play with him in the middle. And he's a young player with good talent, and he's gonna show Saturday night. It's all about.
Just here in the middle.
Larry Stone, Seattle Times. This is for Jordan. Jordan, throughout your career, you've kind of shown a knack for rising up in big games, whether college, national team, Sounders. What is your approach to the big games like the one that's coming up on Saturday?
I mean, for me, it's kind of a case of not getting too into the moment or anything like that, not building up too much in your head. Just obviously, it's not like any other game, but kind of trying in your head to consider it like any other game, so you go into it not too nervous, So for me, it's just approaching it like another game, and we played here earlier in the season, so trying to approach it the same way as that. Obviously, hopefully, come out with a win this time, but just not trying to approach the game any differently than I normally would.
Let's go down here in front.
Neil Davidson from the Canadian Press. My question is for you, Coach. As you know, Toronto FC fans have been waiting 10 seasons for this moment. You've been involved with the Sounders before, and MLS and now, and you have deep ties to soccer in the region. Can you give us a sense of what you think Saturday night means to fans in the Pacific Northwest?
It means a lot. Sounders have been around since '74. I know there was, NASL teams here in Toronto as well. I think the history of soccer in this country is a good one. It's a good narrative. It's a good story. So going back in the '70s, people were really excited to have a team. They were playing in Memorial Stadium, kind of a high school football stadium, but they packed 12,000 people in there. You move forward into the '80s when the Kingdome first came. The Sounders played the first game there against the Cosmos in Pelé. So a really long history back in the '70s and '80s. Fast forward through a few lean years into the USL, now into MLS. Lots of guys like myself, Alan Hinton, a couple other guys, Jimmy Gabriel, some of those people stayed around, some of those coaches. Players from various incarnations of the team live in the Seattle area. And then you have all the fans that started with us in '74, through the '80s, through the lean years, and now. So it is a very, very big deal. As far as MLS standards are concerned, our fans have been waiting for 8 long years as well for this moment.
We'll go in the back.
Ryan Dixon from Sportsnet.ca. One for Jordan, one for Brian. Jordan, Michael Bradley was talking about the pressure he's seen you been under, and I'm just wondering, as a young, highly touted player, what you've learned about dealing with that pressure. And then, Brian, I'm just curious about, in general, where you've seen growth in Jordan's rookie year with Seattle.
Yeah, I think at first that dealing with that pressure was tough. I think I let it get to me, and not scoring in those first 5 games or whatever it was, a lot of people were quick to write me off already, and I think I let that get to me too much. But after that, scored my first goal. I think I got the monkey off my back a little bit and realized that outside noise doesn't really mean anything. It's not going to help me, whether it's good or bad. It really won't help me on the field. So for me, it was just kind of a change of attitude and a focus on what I can do to help the team win. Because if I'm focusing on that stuff, it's not going to help the team in any way. And then you have guys like my teammates, like Coach, like Michael Bradley, Josie. They've been so great with me with dealing with that and giving me advice and things like that. So I have an awesome support group. My family, of course, still live at home with them. So that's been great. And just having those guys has really helped me through it as well. So
I think the growth between Jordan and Christian, the question over there about Christian has been good, that he has a buddy to grow with a little bit. I think that Nelson Valdez has been a good role model for Jordan. I think Nico Ladero has shown him, his different movements and how to receive the ball, where to receive the ball to be goal dangerous. I think you've seen already that he already has the physical tools to be a good pro, but we're continually working on his strength and his speed and his ability to be a physically imposing player. A lot of the narrative early on was his left foot. Well, people don't realize that, he had an assist with his left foot in a very big match for us, playoff match. He scored a really important goal for us with his left foot in L.A. He's working on that. We're making sure he works on that. But his growth is steady. It's going in the right trend. And, he's got a high ceiling. He's got a really high ceiling.
Just down here in the middle.
This is Ben Couch, MLSsoccer.com. From afar, what's impressed you the most about Toronto FC?
Every team in our league, it's a tough league to win in, so a lot of parity. How our two teams got here is certainly testament to, Greg and Robin. I think they do a really good job, and the help that I get from my staff as well. You go down a couple layers, they obviously have, their big three, but they're more than just the big three. I think if you look at that team, I think Drew Moore's inclusion, I think Will Johnson, some of those types of players have helped them in key moments. When I'm looking at my team, everybody makes a narrative about Ladero and Roman Torres coming back. So it's not just them. It's Ozzy, it's Brad, it's Zach Scott, it's Chad Marshall. There's a lot of guys there. So I think the compliment I could give to Greg and Robin would be that they're a team. And that's why I think this matchup is a good one on many different layers, because we're a team as well. So it should be a really entertaining match between two teams that believe they can win. They have stars. They have the everyday guys that put in the hard work. And, we're looking forward to a good match.
We're going to go to Doug McIntyre here in the middle.
For Jordan, you watched Michael Bradley from afar for a long time before you joined the national team. Now that you've gotten to know him over the last couple of years, what sort of things stand out about his personality that maybe you didn't know before?
Yeah, Mikey is a great guy. And if I'm going to be completely honest, when I went in my first camp, he was pretty intimidating to me. And but no, he's been so great with me. And what I love about him is he's just a mentor. He's a leader, and he's someone that you can go to when you need help with anything. And he's definitely one of the guys that when I go into camp, he'll take me off to the side and he'll tell me different things that maybe I need to work on here or there. I remember before the Mexico game, it was going to be my first start with them, and he took me off to the side and told me, if I have the ball here, make the run here, different things like that, where it just helped me feel more comfortable and more confident going into the game. And so for me and for other young guys like me, he's just such a great leader and a great mentor to have. And I mean, obviously he's a very, very good player too. So it's been great getting to know him, and he's been so helpful in my development. So really appreciate all he's done for me.
Just down here in the middle.
Hi, Armin Badakian, The Score. Jordan, it's been a weird year for soccer. Leicester winning the Premier League, Portugal winning the Euros. Has this season felt like a fairy tale for you, or does it feel like a surreal season, your rookie year?
I mean, maybe a little bit. Just when you go into I think no matter what, when you're going into a season, your goal is to make the final, right? So. But it's very difficult to do. So the fact that we're here and the fact that I'm playing for my hometown club as a kid growing up, and if I think in that mindset, it's definitely surreal that I'm able to represent this city and play on this great club and be in the situation that we're in now. It's a pretty surreal feeling. So, but it's obviously very exciting and one that I've dreamed about since a little kid. So it's been an awesome year.
Go down here in front.
Question for Brian. What is it about Giovinco and Altidore as a pair, I don't know if it's their difference in size, that just makes them so difficult to deal with?
Well, there is that size difference, but they're, different players as well. So Josie's, a very, very good target forward that has the ability also to turn and run at you. Giovinco is a, forward that can play make. I think that combination any coach would love to have. So they are a dangerous tandem, and it will require some key moments from my captain over here to try and slow them down, and an entire team effort to try and, prevent them from scoring.
Down here in front.
Two questions for Coach. First, Will Johnson, someone you know very well. You faced him, RSL, Portland. He's won 2 MLS Cups. What makes him tough to deal with? And the second question, unrelated to that, MLS has been a 4-4-2 league early years, 4 in back lines. But now we're seeing more teams play 3 in the back. Not a ton, but more are playing it. TFC is one of those teams now. How tough is it to deal with that, the fact that you don't see that often? How tough is that to make it for you to kind of game plan for that?
I'll answer that hopefully in a combination of both, because Will is a tremendous player. He's a good competitor. He's had success in this league, and I've always respected how he plays. The thing is, and if you're talking about Will, or you're talking about Ozzy, you're talking about Jordan, you're talking about Giovinco, or whatever those players are and whatever system they are, they still have to make plays. So on that given day, if Ladero and Bradley are going to be matched up on the same area of the field, one of them has to win that battle for one of our teams to be successful. Whether it's a 3-5-2, whether it's a 4-man back line, yes, you work on that, you watch film, you try and get your team as prepared as possible. I don't think it's too big of a challenge, because now we do watch a lot of film. All the games are televised. We have a whole sports science staff at Seattle where we can digest statistics and stuff like that. So the preparation will be there, but at the end of the day, it comes down to Will Johnson, Ozzy, Ladero, Bradley, Altidore, Nelson, Jordy. It comes down to the players, how they kind of define their roles within our system or within Greg's system.
We're going to go to the back.
James Sharman, Sportsnet. Brian, I know you're a different team to Montreal, but Montreal got to Toronto the last couple of games. Did you see a weakness exposed there by Toronto potentially?
Well, Montreal was very good on the counter. I think we're a decent countering team. Teams that are able to keep possession for extended periods of time in your opponent's half usually have more chance of success, more chance of creating goal-scoring opportunities. So I think for us, it's just finding that balance of being a good countering team and keeping possession, because we don't want to, all of a sudden become Montreal. We want to make sure we're true to ourselves. And so we will just try and find that balance and take the opportunities that we have, either in a counter-attacking opportunity or through possession.
Let's go here to Thomas Floyd.
Brian, during this run, how important has Chad Marshall's experience and organization been to making it this far?
He's 3-time Defender of the Year. I can answer it as simply as that. That's on the field, his contribution. You guys can all see off the field. He's a really good character for our locker room. I think the spirit of our locker room is really good. So he's helped on both fronts. And you couple that with he's a really tremendous human being, and you've covered all 3 of those really important bases.
We go here to Franco.
One question for Brian, one question for Jordan. Brian, you touched on Nico earlier, but how much is his presence, not just the goals, the assists, how much does his presence maybe help alleviate some of the pressure, not just for Jordan, but for the rest of the attack, open things up for you guys? And for Jordan, Coach touched on how he's helped you with your movement up top. What has Nico shown you specifically, or what has he told you specifically to help round out your game and improve that?
You want to answer that first?
Sure. Right from the first day Nico got here, he had obviously watched. I think he had watched some of our games, so he knew how we played. But first thing he said to me was, "When I get the ball, you just run."
And so I almost like I like to describe him as a quarterback. For a player like me who likes to make runs in behind, stretch opposing defenses, things like that, he puts the ball on your feet, and he makes me a better player, and he makes the players around him much better. So he's obviously been huge. You guys see the impact he has on the field, but again, it's more than that. It's the taking the time to talk to the younger players and help us through tough situations and things like that. So he's been great on and off the field.
I think it's twofold. I think he's made our players better, but he actually gets help from these guys as well. Ozzie does a lot of work for Nico, so Nico can be that creative player that makes us dangerous. So guys like Ozzie and Christian help him as well, and it just comes back into that team mentality. I think Jordan mentioned it just now that when Nico was still playing at Boca, he actually was watching some of our games and trying to get in tune with the team. He comes into that first couple of training sessions, the whole spirit of the team is lifted, but he needs help too. So these guys provide a lot of help for him as well.
Our final question is going to go down here to Kurt. Franco, if you could hand him the mic.
This one's for you, Brian. We've seen Ziggy walking around the training ground. I'm not sure if you've seen him yet. I'm just wondering, do you think he's played a bigger role, or you've played a bigger role in Seattle being here today?
Well, when I see him, I'm going to give him a big hug. I think your question's a little unfair because I think both of us have done a very good job of putting this franchise into this position. So you guys have to remember that I was part of Ziggy's staff for the 7.5 years. And I hope that my contributions to him, making him a successful coach, you guys all understand. I know Ziggy and I, when we have our conversations, he was very appreciative to me. He allowed me to grow as a coach, and so we don't have any issues. Last time when we were down in LA, we went and had coffee, me and Tommy Dutron Zig, and it's just like old times. Just talking soccer, because Zig loves to talk soccer. So, you know, the emotional side and the human element side is when Zig gets fired, I get the job. So somebody has to get fired for me to get my opportunity. So that's the story that, you know, those first couple days, yeah, you think about, and it's definitely a bummer. But at the end of the day, he understands this business. I understand this business. There will be a day when I might not have a job, and you just deal with it. And I think both of our contributions to Ozzie, to Jordan, to, you know, all the stuff that he did for our club, you know, off the field as well, I think we could both share in that.
Thank you so much to our Sounders participants. Good luck on Saturday night. We look forward to watching the game. And they will be training in about 20 minutes. So if we could let them head off and get ready for training, we'll see you out on the field.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Just a reminder for media members, the State of the League address from Commissioner Garber is tomorrow at 3 p.m. at the Intercontinental Hotel. That will be streamed live on MLS Soccer. For any of our friends in television, we will have satellite coordinates, so please see one of our staff members and we can pass along that information. Thank you so much.